Let's speak about NIO, baby. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor, and NIO's Q4 and full year 2022 financial results were released yesterday after hours, and there is a very mixed bag in here, along with guidance for the next quarter, which again is a pretty mixed bag. Some really important things to understand out of this earnings report when it comes to the short and longer term futures of NIO, especially when it comes down to margins, because things have changed an awful lot. With that being said, NIO is also down at about 9.45 a share right now, and if you followed NIO for a long time, you'll know that this is very low. The company hasn't really been down here since the mid 2020s, despite growing so much as a company, despite performing so much better, increasing deliveries, increasing in popularity. They peaked out before near $70 a share. Is it justified to be this low, or is it really time to consider adding to your NIO positions if you haven't over the last, year or 2 years, considering that we really are consolidating in these low price points? And there is also a lot of potential for short-term swings here to the tune of 30+% in the span of a couple of weeks. So the main things we're going to be doing in today's video is just discussing these financial results and deciding how we feel about this company going forward. So right before we get into that, I don't want to waste any of your precious time, but I ask you for an early thumbs up on the video. It helps me out so much. And if you end up enjoying the content and want more, please do subscribe for more. Rivian earnings also come out, which was a relatively mixed bag. I'm going to make a video on that very soon. Tesla's investor day is today, which we're going to be speaking about again very soon. There is a lot going on in the EV market that you don't want to miss out. And also, just before we do get into this, if you are interested in getting some free shares, all you have to do is sign up to Webull if you don't already have an account. Deposit $100, wait for that to settle, and you can get an awful lot of free money, free shares, and you can go and put them into any company you want. You could just sell them and put them into any company you actually want, and it's essentially free money. So NIO reports unaudited Q4 and full year 2022 financial results. So quarterly total revenues reached $2.329 billion US. Record high quarterly vehicle deliveries at 40,000 units. Now, this is a very good one. If you've been keeping up with the EV market this year in general, you know that there was a lot of issues in China, a lot of supply chain issues, a lot of issues due to the Roni and factories being shut down. So to see them bounce back this quickly is very good. You also do need to keep in mind, my friends, that Q4 is generally the best quarter for EV sales in general and car sales in general. So you would expect good deliveries, but that is absolutely fantastic. Full year total revenues of $7.143 billion US. Again, is absolutely huge, but margins came down considerably that we will speak about. And full year deliveries were at 122,000 units. So remember that number, because later on in the video, we're going to be speaking about guidance for Q1. And we want to have a reference point here, at least realistically, okay? So vehicle deliveries at 40,000. That consisted of 20.8 thousand premium smart electric SUVs and 19.2 thousand premium smart electric sedans, representing an increase of 60% from the fourth quarter of 2021 and an increase of 26.7% from the third quarter of 2022. So obviously the actual vehicle delivery growth is absolutely huge there. 60% year over year and 26% quarter over quarter. That is really good. I don't think anybody is going to argue that point. And vehicle deliveries again were up 34% year over year, 21 through 22 at 122,000. So again, 34% growth is very good, especially when you consider how fast NIO has grown over the past 2 to 3 years. So vehicle sales sat at 2.139 billion in the fourth quarter, which was an increase of 60.2% year over year and 23.7% quarter over quarter. Now the vehicle margin, this is one that we speak about a lot more than we used to when it comes to these EV stocks, and that was at 6.8% in the fourth quarter. Comparatively, that was 20.9% in the fourth quarter of 2021 and 16.4% in the third quarter of 2022. So the vehicle margin was negatively impacted by 6.7 percentage points due to inventory provisions, accelerated depreciation of production facilities, and losses on purchase commitments for the existing generation of ES8, ES6, and EC6. Now, when it comes to the margin here, I have to say that we are seeing a lot of companies, even legacy OEMs, margins going down in regards to their EVs, okay? Tesla is pretty much the primary outlier right now, who's performing well, and I think that's going to get even more prominent after their investor day today, especially if we do hear a little bit more about the $25,000 vehicle, if we hear more about the new Mexican plant that we expect to hear about, if their economy of scale gets even better. But we are seeing the large majority of EV companies get hit with worse margins. And I think sometimes people forget just how, you know, much NIO has come on in the last 3 to 4 years in particular. I mean, they were essentially nowhere. There was essentially negative margins. So this is still good, okay? There still is a positive vehicle margin. But investors are really not going to be happy if they don't see this margin coming back up in the near future. That is one thing I just want to point out really quickly right now. Keep your eye on this number for NIO. We need that to go back up. Total revenues, we went through there. Gross profit was at $90.1 million in the fourth quarter, which was a decrease of 63.4% and a decrease of 64.2% quarter over quarter and year over year. And again, a lot of this is obviously coming down to that vehicle margin coming down at such a dramatic pace. Gross margin was 3.9% in the fourth quarter compared with 17.2% in the fourth quarter of 21 and 13.3% in the third quarter of 22. Again, guys, some huge changes there. Now, here is a very big one that people aren't going to be happy with. This is one of the mixed bag parts. Loss from operations at $976.7 million in the fourth quarter, which was an increase of 175.5% year over year and 74% quarter over quarter. Not the best in the world, sadly, my friends, especially when, you know, they're on such an upward trend. It's really not what investors were hoping to see here. Net loss posts a fairly similar picture to the loss from operations at $838.9 million, an increase of 169.9% from the fourth quarter and 40.8% from the third quarter of 2022. So you can kind of see already why people would be happy and why people would be upset. The losses here are absolutely huge. There really is no two ways about it. Even off of these really good revenues, these really good deliveries, these losses are not sustainable for a very long period of time, especially not in today's climate, and especially not while there are so many more competitors now than there were literally only 3 years ago. Even 2 years ago, there weren't near as many competitors. There wasn't near as many people fighting in the top 5 places for market share. Now we see Tesla up there still just on top, BYD right behind them. We're seeing Volkswagen up there now, and they weren't there 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So now NIO is having to fight with a lot of these companies, a lot more than just Tesla, BYD, Li Auto, XPeng when it comes to China. Now, if we look at our OpEx, we can at least see that a lot of it is going into research and development and SG&A. So, like, I mean, you can't really complain about that too much. Again, I always say when I'm speaking about these companies at this particularly interesting stage of their life cycle, this is where you want to see the majority of money going anyway. So seeing this go up, yeah, that is absolutely fine in my books. Now, cash and equivalents are sitting at $6.6 billion at the end of the year. This doesn't seem so bad when you look at the net loss, but again, guys, when you take into account that these losses are going to continue in the next couple of quarters, pretty much at the very least, it's not the biggest cash pile in the world, let's just put it that way. So expect some sort of raise, some sort of dilution. It's not what people are going to want to hear, but realistically, it's quite inevitable. Now, the business outlook, of course, very important for the first quarter of 23. Deliveries to be between 31 and 33,000 vehicles. So obviously that is down from the 40,000 in Q4, but Q4 is always the best for these EV companies. And that represents an increase of approximately 20.3 to 28.1% from the same quarter of 2022. So when we do look at it as a year-over-year place, that is still very nice growth. And I think investors will be relatively happy if we do see these numbers come through. But I do think ultimately investors are going to want to see 40,000 plus vehicles per quarter by the second half of the year, and potentially 50,000 plus come Q4 of next year, or else the growth is just not going to be good enough realistically to justify investing in a company like NIO, trading at valuations they are, when you could just go out and put that money into a safer bet. One of the reasons you would still be in NIO at these price points is because of the potential for a huge spurts of growth, not 20% growth on sales. And And then total revenues to be between 1.584 billion and 1.674, representing an increase of approximately 10.2 to 16.5% from the same quarter of 2022. Now, that is in regards again to revenues. Keep that in mind. We will also expect losses to be worse yet again year over year. So, very mixed bag. I think I saw in the pre-market trading, Neo was trading in the green. We'll see where it's at now. I'm still in pre-market trading. It's up a very small amount. I'm not sure if I would expect that to continue, in all honesty with you guys. I don't think people are going to be over the moon with these results. Now, when we do again look at the share price, if we look at it from a very, very, very long term way here, we're kind of trading around this range here. There was a gap created at about $8.03. We pointed this out all the way on this channel back in mid 2020, and yeah, it's coming to fruition. Some of it's already been filled. There's more there. We called this one as well, and that got filled in over a longer period of time. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a quite aggressive retracement back down to around these levels at some stage. I would much rather see some upward movement. For that to happen, okay, there's a couple of ways that can happen in the short term. Neo comes out with some really, really good news. People love good news with these EV stocks. They will buy your share if there is good news comes out. It's that simple. And also, Tesla's Investor Day today has the potential to pull up every EV stock under the sun, but just as equally has the potential to bring them all down if Tesla shows how just a far ahead of the game they are. So it's going to be tough, in all honesty, for me to see us getting back up towards this $15-16 range anytime soon. I think the best case we can hope for in the very short term, I'm speaking 1, 2, 3 months, is to consolidate a little bit more, maybe have an aggressive bounce off of this $8-ish region and make our way back up towards 10s, fill in these gaps, get some healthy price action, and then start to move upwards. But anyway, my friends, that is my thoughts on Neo. If you watched all the way till the end, you are a true legend. I really appreciate you. I would love and appreciate if you could hit that like button and subscribe for more content. It all means the world to me. All helps me out an awful lot. And also, if you are interested in those free shares over on Webull, hit that link, baby. It is literal free money just waiting for you. You'll be silly not to take it. Anyway, my friends, I hope you all have a beautiful, blessed day. I'm going to see you for another video very soon. Peace.